Hello, I'm Philemon Verdi, and this is vlog number one for Sociology of Pop Culture. To start off, this vlog will be covering the topics of the sociological imagination, conflict theory, and will provide a brief definition of popular culture. So let's get into it. Um, Pop culture can be defined by sort of an amalgamation of the practices, beliefs, and customs as portrayed by the media of things of which we consume. So this could be in reference to things such as fashion, entertainment, language, or just common leisurely activities we all share within our cultures. And the emergence of pop culture can actually be traced back to this guy named Giorgio Vasari back in the Renaissance, because he created this catalog uh, of art called like the modern canon for Renaissance like sculptures and paintings and whatnot. So he pretty much established like kind of like this culture, this popular culture around art, and kind of could be seen as like somewhat of a grandfather of art history as well. Um, and then within pop culture, by like the 1850s, elites began creating the idea of true art versus lowbrow art. So highbrow versus lowbrow, and a good way to understand this concept is to think like something that's lowbrow is enjoyed by the masses, by people without money that isn't as common. So like think soap operas, for example. They're very mass produced, cater to a massive audience. They're not necessarily exclusive. Whereas you look at highbrow could be maybe considered something like the Cannes Film Festival. Anything that's shown there that's super high art, um, and sort of got has a lot of money behind it and more exclusivity. Um, and to segue, the next thing we'll talk about is the sociological imagination. So, I really like Mill's definition of the social or creation of the sociological imagination, because the concept is that we take biography and see how that translates into the larger history of a society. So, um, it's just like this idea that the biography of an individual and the larger history of a society intersects, and uh, and it encourages more studies into an individual's life to see how they contributed to the larger history of society. So like for example, a good idea or like an idea I had in terms of the sociological imagination is take a look at the recent protests that have been happening at UCSD. Like you look at the common UCSD student, you look at their biography, their history, and their sort of lived experiences and how they interact with this larger story that may or may not be in the history books later, with these protests, um, and that's essentially sociological imagination, just this concept of biography and history intersecting, meeting in the middle to where you can kind of paint a larger picture of society based on an individual's experience. And now I'll cover the foundational concepts or theories presented within this course, these first 2 weeks. So there is three main theories for sociology. There's functionalism, which is by Durkheim, who's kind of like the old head, grandfather, father of sociology. He believes that a society must have norms to remain cohesive. A society is almost like a machine. All the gears need to be moving correctly to sort of be functioning. And when there's a lack of agreement on norms or enemy, it causes chaos or kind of like the destruction of society. Another sort of theory is symbolic interactionism by Weber, which basically states that there is no abject truth, but there is more like reality is based more, or society is based more on the lived experiences of individuals. Um, and I find that one to be the most unique theory to be presented in the course. But the one that we'll be taking a more predominant look at today is conflict theory, most championed by Marx. And conflict theory revolves around the struggle of resources, like class conflict or race conflict or gender conflict, things like that. But in Marx's philosophies, he wanted to comment more on freedom. And in his historical analysis, he looked at how labor has been our method to survive, and that we put ourselves in these constraints of society. And he boiled it down to like two main classes: the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. The bourgeois being more affluent, and the proletariat being working class. So the bourgeois own the means of production, while the proletariat sells their bodies in order to sort of fuel the accruement of capital for the bourgeois and like a minuscule amount for themselves. And essentially, within control theory under Marx, whoever controls the resources, whether it be political, physical, or just any sort of resource within like a system of which you're trying to analyze, that whoever controls the resources has power. And yeah, I wanted to relate this concept to a game series which is really near and dear to my heart, the Metal Gear Solid series, specifically Metal Gear Solids 1 and 2, as they are very dense games with a lot of political commentary. And just so that it runs smoothly, I'm going to kind of cut this video right here so that I could segue to my analysis. So, how does the sociological imagination and the foundational theories of sociology connect to the Metal Gear Solid series? So, first of all, the sociological imagination is the concept of an individual's biography, lending insights into sort of the history of a society. So within Metal Gear Solid, the main character is Solid Snake, and a constant thing of which he is proclaiming is, "Oh, I am no hero. Like I am not heroic. I am just normal. Like yeah, I might be above average soldier, but I'm not a legend. I am an individual. I am just a cog in the machine." He very much does not see himself as special, although in the game series, of course, everybody holds him as a legend, and even the player to an extent, because of us experiencing the society and story of the Metal Gear Solid universe through his him as an analog, or as us, like we imprint ourselves onto him because we play as him and experience his experiences throughout the video game series. But I feel like Snake exemplifies this because if you look at his individual history or biography, it shows how the sort of structures within society in the Metal Gear Solid universe work. So like looking at his life experience lends sort of a magnifying lens into how the societal structures of that world operate. And then, secondly, how is conflict theory pertain to the Metal Gear Solid series? So, for Metal Gear Solid 4, at least, I like to use this example for conflict theory as there's a thing called the war economy, in which soldiers sell their body and DNA for currency to be used in proxy wars. Because in Metal Gear Solid 4, they establish that there is like I'm gonna give like a basic story outline because stories are very complicated, but essentially there is a group of very powerful figures that run the world called the Patriots, and they use AI to sort of keep societal control over the world. And war is no longer fought between countries; it's just fought between private military corporations. So all war is a business generator. It's proxy. There's just mercenaries on the battlefield. There's not really countries out there anymore. And the war economy, you sell your DNA to be able to, one, have freedom to use weapons and participate as a contractor. And it's a without selling yourself any, like, your DNA or anything, you're not allowed to use weapons. You have zero mobility within the society. So the the Patriots drive these proxy wars just to maintain control. And also in Metal Gear Solid 2, it that's when the AI is introduced. Like, it's like a big reveal at the end of the game, kind of a spoiler, but they go into how the internet is mostly junk information, and that if they don't control the dissemination of information, that we just end up with a very dumb society. And yeah, so it's interesting because it's just control of resources, right? That's conflict theory. So you could look at the Patriots in Metal Gear Solid 4 running these proxy wars to control the resources. So they generate since these proxy wars fuel the economy and development, they are in a constant loop of needing to keep these wars going, these pointless wars fought in third world countries. So um, in order for mobility to be gained, uh, you have to sign up to the system. You have to sort of get into the resources. You could look at this as functionalism as well, in the sense that um, there's the norm is that there's the war economy, and that you have to abide by it to sort of function within this system. And if you're not within the system, it's like it's not a norm. And Solid Snake in that game is kind of like in essence, is the enemy of the system, or chaos, because he is not abiding by the norms. Although he does have to give his DNA to the war economy to be able to use the weapons that you use in game and all that, he's actively trying to destroy the AI to take back control of society and make it more free. And once he keeps going, it creates a chain effect of which the AI is destroyed and the Patriots are defeated. Um, and that kind of results in the crumpling of society, uh, at least the society that the Patriots wanted. And in terms of symbolic interactionism, how there is no truth, it's just the learned experiences of individuals that kind of shape the society. I would say that Metal Gear Solid poorly adheres to those principles, because although the learned experiences of, like, Solid Snake shape society, and that he, goes on these operations to take down the big bad, like, shadow government people or whatever, um, conflict theory and functionalism lend a more productive analysis of the Metal Gear Solid series, just because the Metal Gear Solid series loves to do political commentaries on hegemonic structures and government. Um, Hideo Kojima, the creator of the series, is an outspoken. He's against the development of nuclear weapons, very much a pacifist. And although these are action games, action stealth games developed, they very much have an anti-war message in all of them, even the ones where you play as the villain. And that's where I'd like to leave this video off today. Thank you.